Led Zeppelin has solidified their place in rock history as one of the most influential bands of all time. An integral piece to this was guitarist Jimmy Page, whose technical mastery, groundbreaking riffs, and unique genre blends lended the group a signature sound. Page, in conjunction with being an amazing guitarist, was also deeply vested in the teachings of the occult, many speculating that his beliefs caused horrible ramifications for the band, such as accidents, sickness, and even death. Today we explore the origins and stories behind these events, and what many call the Curse of Led Zeppelin. When we think of the bohemian flower children of the 60s and 70s, we often think of free spirits, love, and psychedelia. For Jimmy Page, it was all of those things, but expanded by a deep intrigue in mysticism and esoteric philosophy. From a young age, Page had discovered the works of Aleister Crowley, reading Magic in Theory and Practice at just 15. Page seeking to adopt Crowley's spiritual theology and collect more of his works moving forward. Aleister Crowley is often labeled as a Satanist or devil worshipper, which is a bit of a misconception. Crowley mainly was a ceremonial magician who had interest in using occult practices to seek enlightenment. Enlightenment to him was seen in the form of attaining a oneness with the universe, or a conversation with his holy guardian angel. But for Page and many other influential teens in the 60s, it wasn't Crowley's life that resonated with them most, but the key principles for his religious movement, Thelema, sometimes referred to as Thelema. Thelema's motto being, "Do what thou wilt, shall be the whole of the law. Love is the law, love under will." This phrase can be interpreted as one should discover and follow their true will, as that is the authentic path and real purpose in life. Love then becomes a tool for enacting your true will, meaning you act with love and compassion in ways that further yourself and your own destiny. Page and many others saw this phrase as a guiding principle, further rejecting the cultural norms of society and often expressing their will through sex, drugs, and rock and roll. And express he did, developing success in his formative years as a session musician and member of the Yardbirds. In 1968, Page would embark on a new journey, forming Led Zeppelin. Highly spiritual, he believed that the band assembled through extraordinary connection, a telepathic synergy that bonded the members' shared visions, and an instant chemistry that sparked from their very first rehearsal. Releasing 2 albums the following year, Led Zeppelin 1 and 2 would gain rampant growth and significant momentum for the band. Etched into vinyl pressings of their next album, Led Zeppelin 3, dawned the phrases, "Do what thou wilt," being key to Crowley's Thelema, and "So mote it be," the phrase uttered to close a prayer or ritual in Freemasonry. Page at this time would also purchase the Boleskine House, Crowley's former Scottish retreat and site where he attempted the Abramelin ritual, a means to contact his holy guardian angel. On the inner sleeve of Led Zeppelin 4, often called Zoso, Symbols, or Untitled, there are 5 personal symbols that reflect each member of the band and their guest vocalist Sandy Denny. John Paul Jones, John Bonham, and Sandy Denny all chose symbols tied to the Godhead and various cultural versions of the Holy Trinity. Robert Plant's symbol is tied to the ancient continent of Mu and the feather of Ma'at, an Egyptian goddess of justice and fairness. Page's symbol has remained a mystery, publicly claiming that he will never tell anyone what it means. Fans, however, discovered that Zoso is actually a mixture of alchemical symbols, the first part being Capricorn, which is also Page's astrological sign, followed by the Sun, its axis, and the rotation of Saturn. Saturn in alchemy is seen as the resolver of karma, a Hindu philosophy that sums a person's actions as the deciding factor for their future. And thus, Saturn can be a bringer of good fortune, or inversely pain. Mentions of the symbols shown as a whole have been found in the folk literature book Le Dragon Rouge, or the Red Dragon. Dated back many centuries prior, this black magic grimoire contains ritual instructions for summoning demons, such as Lucifuge Refocail. The purpose of the ritual is to form a pack for various benefits, such as wealth, fame, rapid success, or mastery of hidden knowledge. Although purely speculation, it is thought that the Curse of Led Zeppelin originated from one of 2 events. The first being that Page sought to leverage the grimoire's teachings, asking his bandmates to partake in a ritual for solidifying the success of the band forever. John Paul Jones apparently refused to participate, with the rest of the group moving forward in the spiritual practice. The second theory stems from Page meeting director Kenneth Anger in 1973, at an auction for rare Crowley materials. With a mutual interest in the occult and Crowley's work, the two quickly became friends. Page would agree to produce the soundtrack for Anger's surreal occult short film, Lucifer Rising, with Anger then moving into the basement of his London mansion. Years would pass, with Page only able to deliver 20 of the promised 40 minutes of music. This outraged Anger, publicly shaming Page and declaring he had put a curse on his wealth, success, and overabundance. Regardless of if these esoteric events occurred, the years following would have Zeppelin reaching astronomical peaks of success, intermingled with unfortunate and terrible events. In 1975, Led Zeppelin was at the height of their careers. They mounted a discography that would be immortalized for decades to come. While experiencing a brief break from their rigorous touring schedule, Plant and his family would vacation in Rhodes, Greece. While driving a rented car, he would unfortunately lose control of the vehicle and crash. The accident left Plant and his wife Maureen seriously injured, his children Carmen and Karac escaping with only bruising. By Plant's request, they were emergency airlifted back to England, an action which Plant believes saved his wife's life. As it was discovered, Maureen suffered a fractured skull, pelvis, and leg. Alongside this, Robert sustained a broken elbow and ankle. Due to the injuries, Zeppelin would cancel their remaining tour dates in support of Physical Graffiti, the first album they released under their label, Swan Song Records. Page actually suggested Swan Song as the name, with Aleister Crowley sometimes calling himself Paramahansa, or the Supreme Swan, and writing The Wild Swan Sings Ever, and My Heart Sings Ever, in his collection of journals, titled The Equinox. Page would also open a bookstore and publishing company by the same name that following year, while Led Zeppelin worked on their 7th studio album, Presence. Plant, who was wheelchair-bound during much of the recording process, revealed his state of mind lyrically through the record. What showed was a man experiencing loneliness from the inability to see his family, physical pain due to his injuries, and frustrations that stem from the pressure to create under those circumstances. He even took shots at his fellow bandmates during Hot's On for Nowhere, putting the pain and tension of the band's relationship on full display. Presence, interestingly, also features a strange object on the cover, an obelisk. Contained within Magic in Theory and Practice, the book that opened Page's eyes to the occult, Crowley speaks about how an altar should be arranged with a pillar or obelisk. After the record's release, Led Zeppelin would slate their US tour, Plant unfortunately contracting laryngitis, causing dates to be pushed back by over a month, eventually kicking off the tour on April 1st, 1977. After completing over 40 live dates and playing the Oakland Alameda County Coliseum twice, Robert Plant would receive a call stating that his 5-year-old son Karac had passed away due to a stomach virus. Plant was left devastated, unable to comfort his son in his final moments. The remaining dates of the tour were cancelled. Plant would then withdraw home to be with his grieving family. When it came time for Karac's burial, Plant would seek the companionship and comfort of his friends and bandmates. Unfortunately, John Bonham was the only other member of Led Zeppelin present at the funeral, with Page battling ongoing heroin addiction and Jones on family vacation, allegedly with no news of the event taking place. The blatant absences compounded ongoing strains in the band's dynamic, leading to Plant no longer caring about the group's input on decisions, instead willing to walk away at any moment if the group's direction wasn't aligned with his outlook. Sadly, more death would follow, as Sandy Denny, who mentioned prior was the only non-Zeppelin member to receive their own symbol on Led Zeppelin 4, would be found dead the following year. Originally used as physical comedy, Denny was known to throw herself off seats and stairs. Now undergoing a downward spiral from her unraveling marriage, Sandy would delve deeper into substance abuse and depression. She then began taking much harder spills, by accident, or by throwing herself down flights of stairs with the intent to harm. In April 1978, she was found unconscious at the foot of a staircase and rushed to Queen Mary's Hospital, Roehampton. Doctors informed her husband, Trevor Lucas, that she was effectively brain dead and that they would be unable to recover her condition. There she passed without gaining consciousness, her death due to a traumatic midbrain hemorrhage and blunt force trauma to the head. Later that year, Led Zeppelin would embark on their 8th studio album, In Through the Outdoor, the band now being in full disarray. Page was engulfed by his heroin addiction, Bonham exceedingly lost in alcoholism. This led to the two often not showing up for group recording sessions, instead recording at completely different times from Plant and Jones, who upheld the main creative direction on the record. With In Through the Outdoor released, Zeppelin would prepare for promotional touring of the album. Bonham, on his way to practice, would request to stop for breakfast. There he consumed 4 quadruple vodka screwdrivers, continuing to drink throughout the practice and evening. Eventually, he would pass out, later vomiting in his sleep, choking on his own vomit, and dying from asphyxiation. On December 4th, 1980, the remaining members of Zeppelin released the following statement. "We wish it to be known that the loss of our dear friend and the deep respect we have for his family, together with the sense of undivided harmony felt by ourselves and our manager, have led us to decide that we could not continue as we were." Just like that, Led Zeppelin was gone, choosing to disband and never release new material made without the contributions of Bonham ever again. As with many things in rock and roll, these stories are shrouded in mystery. Whether it be a curse or series of unfortunate events, there's one thing that we do know for sure. Led Zeppelin, for as high as they rose, would tragically experience just as hard of a fall. If you enjoyed this video, feel free to like, subscribe, and drop me a comment on your thoughts. What do you think about Page's occult history, the curse, and the history of Led Zeppelin? This channel is devoted to the darker side of music, dropping new videos every Wednesday. Until then, I hope to see you again soon. You think Page was ever invited to an OTO meeting?